and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We are going to talk about things all IBC today and preparation. We have not had a podcast for Without the Bank solely in a long time. Everything that I seem to be talking about lately coincides with the Farming Without the Bank podcast and Without the Bank. And you know what? It's for a reason. It's because this applies to absolutely everything. It is not just one thing. And so many of us think, oh, well, you know what? This doesn't apply to me. In fact, I got a message the other day from somebody that was saying, does this work if I just have an 8 to 5 job and I don't have a business? 100% it works. We get in our box and we think, well, if it's not labeled just for us, then we can't use it. And that is 100% not true because we absolutely can use it. We just have to think differently. And so many of us are taught to think a certain way. And so when we see something different, it's just it's very hard to think, well, this is for me. So let's talk about how we should be using infinite banking to prepare. So let me just give you an example of the fact that interest rates were 3%, 4%, 0% for so long. And so many people said, well, why do I need to have a life insurance policy? Why do I need to do infinite banking when I can go to the bank and I can get a lower rate? Well, number one, because you control the banking system of your life. And we talked about this in my last podcast about the banks going under and exactly why Nelson talked about getting rid of the snakes and dragons. And there comes a point in time in our life when we don't want to ask the bank for permission. Now, if you are a business owner, you totally understand that, right? You've gone to the bank and said, hey, I need a loan. And they said, oh my gosh, you don't have any income. Where is your payroll? I don't know what to do with you because you have a business. And so it makes it very difficult for business owners to get loans. Now, maybe that wasn't true in the last 10 years. Maybe in the last 10 years, you've been able to get loans and it hasn't been a very big deal. So that's when people come in and say, well, I don't need this, or I can make more money in real estate. I can make more money doing Airbnbs and short-term rentals than I need to be using the life insurance piece for. And let me tell you, they coincide. Remember, this is the and asset. But here's what I've seen as of late. People coming in and saying, oh, I wish I would have started this because now that interest rates are 6, 7, 8%, my business loans are going up. If you have an operating loan or a line of credit, I call it operating. But if you have a line of credit with the bank for your business, that line of credit in some cases is 7, 8, I've even seen 9%. Now people are saying, well, I wish I would have had the life insurance policy. What is your loan rate in the policy? And now it matters. And our loan rate now is anywhere between 4% to 5.28%. But guess what? You can't access it because you waited to get the money there. And this is really, if we really look at it, it's an issue of I didn't have enough pain to start in the last 10 years. And now I have the pain. So now I want to start, but the pain is so hard that I can't get started. So we should have started in the past. We should not have to have pain in order to get started. Human nature says that's how it goes. That's how I operate in some cases, right? I'm not going to stop eating something unless it causes me pain. It's so dumb. Like, just don't eat it. But that's not the case. Or I'm not going to stop doing that exercise until it causes me some pain. I'm not going to stretch before I run until it causes me some pain, whatever that might be. In the financial sector, it is the exact same thing. If I'm not broke and I don't have high interest rates, it doesn't matter. It's not enough pain. So we did not get started. Now you guys are sitting there and saying the exact same thing. Well, I can't get started now because I don't have any extra money to get started with. Guess what? When we go back to Nelson's book and we read, when did Nelson get started? He got started when interest rates went to 25%, and he didn't have the money. So, what he was doing was he was taking every extra dollar he had because that's where Parkinson's law comes in. Now, this is so important in today's economy because Parkinson's law says what? Our needs rise to meet our income. Think about that. Our needs rise to meet our income. So if our income went up, so did our needs. And we are frivolously spending money. We got a raise, but we didn't even feel like we got a raise because we continue to go out to eat. We spend a little more here, we spend a little more there. We can make that credit card payment. And so we don't even, look at what the interest rate is because it doesn't matter. We can make the payment. They're not coming after us. Nothing is happening. And so Parkinson's law takes over. We get a little bit comfortable. Nelson beat Parkinson's law and said, you know what? I am going to take any extra money I have. We are going to be very frugal. We're basically going to turn into Dave Ramseyites, right? And we are going to be very, very frugal. And we're going to run every dollar we can through the policy. And then we'll borrow against that to pay down the bank notes. Now, sometimes, I'm going to be honest, if you have a 24% credit card, it doesn't make sense for me to run it through the policy first because the interest rate is so high in that credit card, I can't get it paid off fast enough by doing that. You're better off to just pay it off with cash. However, let's say you have a line of credit at 7%. Can we run that through the policy first, pay your premium, then borrow against the cash value to use it to either pay down the bank or use that as your line of credit instead? But we have to have some profit to do that. In order to have the profit, it goes back to Parkinson's law. We have to stop spending. Maybe we need to sell the boat. Maybe we need to sell the camper. Maybe we need to sell unnecessary vehicles. Heck, maybe we need to downsize a vehicle. This is something that is almost an ego issue. And we don't want to have to go from a Cadillac Escalade to a Chevy Tahoe, maybe. But what is the reality of it? Here's an example again. My husband and I drove through the car parking lots yesterday. It was Sunday. I'm recording this on Monday. It was Sunday. We didn't want to be bothered. I have not looked at the new Jeeps. I am kind of a car snob. I like my vehicles to look the way I want them to look. I have a Jeep Grand Cherokee. I like the old body style. They come out with this new body style. It has a long nose. Don't particularly love that. However, some of the new ones at the top roof portion of your vehicle is black and the rest of it's maybe white and it's a two-tone color. And I really like that. And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to look at him. He's looking at pickups over there. I'm just going to go take a gander at this new Jeep. Holy moly. Those things are really, really nice inside. And I'm like, wow, that's really nice. Look at the price tag. Oh my God, sticker shock. We drove away and I said, you know what? It's just really nice not having a car payment. It's really, even if I had to pay cash, which, right, I have a vehicle I can sell and it's not going to be that much to upgrade and whatever that might be. Sure, I could borrow from the policy and I could have that paid off, but I don't want to even pay the policy back for a vehicle loan. Because why? I would rather keep the vehicle I have so I don't have to make payments even to the policy. Now I have that cash that can create cash flow. I have that cash I can lend to people. With interest rates being 6-7%, why could I not lend it at 8 or 9%? Yes, I know there are state rules. Check with your state rules. Check with your accountant if you're that scared of it. But we could do those things with that cash to create cash flow instead of what? Wrapping it up in a new vehicle. And there are people that will say, you know what? We are on hard times. I'm going to downgrade my vehicle. So we have a choice. We can either downgrade, say, a vehicle, for example. We can sell stuff to get rid of debt, get back at a zero and build back. Or we could just keep digging the hole and never get anywhere. And that's what we end up doing a lot of times is digging that hole. Sometimes we have to beat Parkinson's law. Sometimes we have to get out and moving that money into the policy is going to be a great option. But because we didn't start in the past, when are we going to start? Because you guys are going to come to me and say, well, Mary Jo, is not a good time now. Well, it was a good time in the past and you didn't do it. You know how many people I talk to in a week that go, oh yeah, I had your book 2 years ago. I bought your book 3 years ago. I bought your book 5 years ago, but I didn't do anything. They didn't build. And then I have the clients that did build. And then I talk to them and they're like, yeah, I've got a couple $100,000 in cash value. And I just have never had to need it because I've always gone to the bank. But now that interest rates are 7, 8, 9%, now I can use it. And at least I've got it there. Exactly. They had the opportunity to use it before, but they didn't have to. Instead, they went to the bank. Now, that's not exactly what Nelson would tell us to do, but we have the option to do that because we had options. Right now, we don't have a lot of options, but we didn't build because we didn't look forward. So the answer or the question comes down to how much pain do you have to be in? What will you do to actually make the change? I love Dan Sullivan has a question. If we meet again in 3 years from today, how would your story look differently? And that's not exactly how his question goes. It's a lot longer, a lot more words. But for me, if we met 3 years from now, what would have changed? Whatever you do in the next 3 years, what would have changed? Where would you be differently than you are today? And guess what? In most cases, nothing, because we won't do anything. We're not going to change because the pain to change is more than the pain of where we're at. That's another one I heard. And that is huge. The pain to change is greater than the pain of where we are, so we'll just stay where we are. If you don't figure out a way out of this, then where are we going to be in the future? Interest rates are going up. Everything I listen to says they're going to continue to go up because what they've done thus far has not even affected inflation. And so when interest rates even go higher, where are we going to be? What changes do we need to make so that we can survive this? Many people will not beat Parkinson's law. Nelson survived 23% and 27% interest because of Parkinson's law. He ended up acting a little bit frugal. In the last 10 years, we've told you you don't need to be. You don't need to change anything, and you can start this. But if you had it, now is the time that we need to make the change. If you have not read Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, or you've not read Life Without the Bank, go to withoutthebank.com and get both of them because they go together. I mean, you can just get mine if you want, but I did not rewrite Nelson's book. You're not going to get everything out of my book that is in Nelson's book. The first portion of both of our books is the most important. It is far more important than the numbers. Because if we don't have the concept, if we don't have the thought process around money that we need, it doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to work. So I encourage you to go grab those books. And if you've got them and you just have not made your appointment, what are you waiting for? The perfect time? There is not a perfect time to do anything. But because you waited, we now don't have the system built for you to have your own bank and be borrowing your own money. That is huge, huge. Because guess what? My system is there and I've been building it for 10 years and I didn't have any pain. But I've been building it, knowing that the economy goes up and down all the time. We will never stay in an up. Whoever thinks that that is possible is living in a fairy tale land, because we can see the markets crash every 10 years at the most. Okay. It'll crash sooner than that in most cases. But the longest it's ever gone without a crash is 9 years. And this has happened, I believe, 3 times now. We've had 9 years, year 10 a crash, 9 years, year 10 a crash, 9 years, year 10 a crash. And this was the last one in 2022. So to think that we are going to be on this high forever and we should never prepare for a low is absolutely crazy. Get the books, then make your appointment and let me know how I can help you. If I can help you, I will. If I can't, we're going to guide you into what you need to do next so that I can help you going further. I am at this moment of this recording booked out about 8 weeks. However, I do have a colleague, John, that you can book with as well. And so if you don't want to wait, you can get in sooner with him. If you do want to wait, thank you very much for waiting. I appreciate it. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Otherwise, enjoy your book in the meantime. Listen to podcasts, get educated, figure out where and what can we do to make those changes to get that money into the policy. All right, you guys, have a fantastic rest of your day.